welcome to this edition of World at War. I'm your host, Rahisha Sehgal. On the 19th of December, Tel Aviv conducted what it described as precise strikes on Houthi military targets in Yemen, including Red Sea ports and energy infrastructure in the capital, Sana'a. Reportedly, 9 people were killed in the port of Salif and the Ras Isa oil terminal, which are both in the western province of Hodeidah. Tel Aviv claimed that the strikes were in response to the missile and drone attacks by the Iran-backed Houthi movement. Earlier in the day, a missile fired from Yemen was partially intercepted over central Israel, but fragments of the missile still managed to hit a school in the Ramat Gan on the edge of Tel Aviv. The Iran-aligned Houthi group, offering a different version though, they have claimed that they launched 2 ballistic missiles on military sites in Tel Aviv, simultaneously with the Israeli attack on Yemen. The Houthis, vertebrally in control of northwestern Yemen, they began attacking Israel and international shipping shortly after the start of the Gaza war in October 2023, saying that they were acting in solidarity in support with the Palestinians. Our next report explores. In the early hours of Thursday, Israelis in the capital Tel Aviv and the surrounding areas scampered off to bomb shelters as an incoming missile purportedly launched from Yemen was shot down by the air defenses. The Israeli Defense Forces said that they managed to partially intercept the missile fired from Yemen towards Israeli territory. The missile warhead, however, directly hit a school in the Ramat Ifal neighborhood of Ramat Gan in central Israel. Though no casualties were reported, the attack was so massive that the main building of the school collapsed.
3 o'clock in the morning, we got this massive attack on the school. We're glad that it's happened in the night. No children inside the school in the night, and because of that, now we do some investigation to understand what happened in this event with the missiles.
Barely 2 hours after the massive attack, the Israeli Defense Forces announced that its 14 fighter jets had struck Houthi military targets on Yemen's west coast and inland. Reportedly, 7 people were killed by an Israeli strike on the Red Sea port of Salif, while 2 people were killed and 1 injured at the nearby Ras Isa oil terminal. Meanwhile, another 2 were reportedly injured at the port of Hodeidah. Power stations in Hez and Dhaban to the south and north of Sana'a were also struck, disrupting the local electricity supply. Thursday's attack was the 3rd direct attack by Israel against the Houthis in the past 5 months. Subsequent to the Israeli attack, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu threatened more attacks against the Iran-aligned militant group.
Early this morning, the Air Force attacked strategic targets of the Houthis in the port of Hodeidah and deep into Yemen. We did this in response to repeated Houthi attacks against civilian targets in Israel. Last night, they attacked a school in Ramat Gan. They are not attacking just us. They are attacking the entire world. They are attacking the international shipping and commercial lanes. Thus, when Israel takes action against the Houthis, it is acting for the entire international community. The Americans understand this very well, as do many others. After Hamas, Hezbollah and the Assad regime in Syria, the Houthis are almost the last arm of Iran's axis of evil. They are learning and will learn the hard way that whoever harms Israel pays a very heavy price.
Though the Israeli military claimed that the Israeli jets were already in the air and intercepted a missile headed towards central Israel, the Houthis presented a counter-claim saying that they launched 2 hypersonic ballistic missiles at 2 military targets in the Tel Aviv area at the same time as the Israeli strikes in a legitimate reaction.
The missile force of the Houthi armed forces carried out a significant military operation targeting 2 vital and sensitive military targets of the Israeli enemy in the occupied Jaffa area, using 2 Palestine 2 hypersonic ballistic missiles. The operation achieved its goal successfully by the grace of Allah. The operation was carried out simultaneously with the Israeli aggression against civilian facilities in the capital Sana'a and the Hodeidah province, including power stations. Our response came as part of a natural and legitimate reaction.
According to the Israeli military, since October 2023, about 400 missiles and drones have been launched at Israel from Yemen, most of which have been intercepted. The Houthis, on the other hand, consider it their religious and moral duty to respond to Israel's war in the Gaza Strip, in which more than 45,000 people have been killed so far. And they say that the operations will not cease until the aggression against Gaza stops and the siege is lifted. With both sides not willing to budge from their position, this year's long conflict is not exhibiting any signs of ending anytime soon. Niger Defense Ministry reported that at least 39 people were killed in two horrific attacks near Burkina Faso border in jihadist operations from December 12th to 14th. The details of the attacks, which reportedly targeted defenseless civilian populations, it remains sketchy. For long, the frontier lands between Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso have been hideouts for jihadists linked to the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda. On the 12th of December, Niger had announced suspension of BBC radio for 3 months after the British broadcaster reported a day earlier that jihadists had killed 90 soldiers and upwards of 40 civilians in the western Tera region bordering Burkina Faso. Our next report explores.
The borderlands between Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali have long been plagued with armed insurgents affiliated to the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda who have waged war against these governments. In the latest chapter of this history of violence, 39 innocent people were killed in two barbaric attacks by criminals, cornered by constant operations by security forces in western Niger near the border with Burkina Faso. 21 people were killed in Liberi and 18 in Kokoru communities which are located in the Tera border region, an area subjected to particularly bloody jihadist attacks in recent days. On the 11th of December, both the BBC and Radio France International had reported that jihadists had killed 90 soldiers and more than 40 civilians in Châteauneuf, in the western Tera region bordering Burkina Faso infested with armed fighters. The very next day, the junta in Niger announced via a communique read on state television the suspension of BBC radio for 3 months.
The following press release has been issued by the Minister of Communication, Posts and the Digital Economy. All programs and broadcasts by the British Broadcasting Corporation (BBC), as relayed by local channels RNM, Saraunia and Anfani, are suspended nationwide with immediate effect and for a period of 3 months. The BBC broadcasts erroneous information aimed at destabilizing social peace and undermining the morale of the troops.
The Niger junta also said that it will file a complaint against Radio France International. The ban on the British broadcaster puts it on a growing list of Western media sanctioned by military juntas in the Sahel region. The military governments in Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali had announced their decision to quit the regional group ECOWAS on 28 January this year, condemning the bloc as subservient to ex-colonial rule of France. The military governments in these 3 Sahel countries have reiterated their decision to quit the economic community of West African states as irreversible. On the 15th of December, West African leaders from the regional group ECOWAS gave 3 countries on the brink of quitting ECOWAS a grace period of 6 more months to reconsider their decision.
Part of the communique I'll be reading relates to the decision of the Republic of Mali, the Republic of Niger, and Burkina Faso to withdraw from ECOWAS. The authority acknowledges that in accordance with the provisions of Article 91 of the revised ECOWAS Treaty, the 3 countries will officially cease to be members of ECOWAS from 29 January 2025. The authority decides to set the period from 29 January 2025 to 29 July 2025 as a transitional period and to keep ECOWAS doors open to the three countries during the transition period.
If the three Sahel countries do not budge from their position, their imminent departure on the 29th of January 2025 from ECOWAS could have a major impact on free trade and movement, as well as on the security cooperation in a region where jihadists linked to both Al-Qaeda and Islamic State group are gaining ground. The door of ECOWAS has been left ajar for the three countries. Whether they choose to walk through it or stick with their decision of quitting will be interesting to watch in the coming months.
A Myanmar ethnic armed group, the Arakan Army, claimed on the 10th of December to have taken complete control of the key border region of Mungdaw, a district home to more than 110,000 people. The Southeast Asian nation of Myanmar has been locked in a civil war ever since the military junta deposed the democratically elected civilian government of Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi in a coup d'etat in February 2021. For coup leader General Min Aung Hlaing, the loss of Mungdaw is yet another humiliating defeat after a year of military setbacks. Just last month, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court had said that he would seek an arrest warrant for Myanmar's military leader Min Aung Hlaing for crimes against humanity over the alleged persecution of the Rohingya, a mainly Muslim minority in the Buddhist majority Myanmar. Our next report brings you the details.
In perhaps the bloodiest battle of the Myanmar civil war so far, the insurgent Arakan Army claimed to have taken control of the key region of Mungdaw along the Myanmar-Bangladesh border late on Tuesday. The western Rakhine state has been rocked by fighting since last November, when the Arakan Army had attacked security forces, bringing an end to the largely held ceasefire since the junta's 2021 coup. In Mungdaw, the fighting intensified in June this year, following the siege by Arakan Army fighters. Throughout the siege, the Myanmar Air Force kept up a campaign of constant bombardment of Mungdaw, driving the last civilians out of the town. Reportedly, on the 8th of December, the last junta base near Mungdaw town fell to the rebel fighters, following almost 2 months of ferocious battle. In the video released by the Arakan Army, men appearing to be surrendered Myanmar security forces can be seen walking out of damaged buildings, waving white flags. The captured commander of the base, Brigadier General Thirin Thun, and his officers can be seen kneeling beneath the flagpole, now flying the insurgents' banner. With this victory, the Arakan Army, formed in 2009 and part of the Brotherhood Alliance, has emerged as one of the most effective fighting forces in Myanmar. The siege and eventual loss of Mungdaw, in which reportedly more than 450 junta soldiers died, is a humbling Myanmar's military leader Min Aung Hlaing will find difficult to shake. General Min Aung Hlaing is already in troubled waters. On the 27th of November, Karim Khan, the International Criminal Court prosecutor, had said that he would seek an arrest warrant for senior general and acting president Min Aung Hlaing for crimes against humanity over the alleged persecution of the Rohingya in Myanmar and Bangladesh.
After an extensive investigation and careful review of the evidence collected, my office has concluded that there are reasonable grounds to believe that Senior General and Acting President Min Aung Hlaing, Commander-in-Chief of the Myanmar Defence Services, bears criminal responsibility for the crimes against humanity of deportation and persecution of the Rohingya committed in Myanmar and in part of Bangladesh between the 25th of August 2017 and the 31st of December 2017 by members of the Armed Forces of Myanmar, the Tatmadaw, supported by the police, border guard police, as well as non-Rohingya civilians.
A panel comprising of 3 judges will now deliberate if there are reasonable grounds to believe General Min Aung Hlaing bears criminal responsibility for the deportation and persecution of Rohingya in Myanmar and Bangladesh. It usually takes around 3 months to rule on issuing an arrest warrant, though there is no set time frame for the decision.
This is the first application for an arrest warrant against a high-level Myanmar government official that my office is filing. More will follow. Today's application is the outcome of an independent and impartial investigation based upon a wide variety of evidence from numerous sources, such as witness testimonies, including from insider witnesses, and authenticated, credible photographic and video materials.
More than 730,000 Rohingya Muslims fled to Bangladesh during the campaign in 2017, which UN investigators said was carried out with genocidal intent. In Rakhine State, there are still around 600,000 Rohingya Muslims who remain apprehensive about the Arakan army trying to set up its own administration. In addition to this, the United Nations, whose agencies are being given very little access to Rakhine, warned last month of looming famine in the state. Arakan Army's leadership has so far remained tight-lipped about its future plans. For a state that was already poor and which has suffered immensely from the intense fighting of the past year, the Arakan Army's victory, while delivering a devastating blow to the military junta, has also posed a pertinent question. Will the insurgent Arakan Army prove to be able administrators and deliver on its promise of a future for all communities?
The Caribbean nation of Haiti was jolted by a brutal weekend massacre in which at least 184 people were killed on the suspicion of practicing voodoo to cause harm to a gang leader's son. It was yet another act of extreme violence by powerful gangs that control about 85% of the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. According to the United Nations, the latest wave of killings brings the death toll in Haiti to around 5,000 people this year. Brought to Haiti by African slaves, voodoo is considered a mainstay of the country's culture. Banned during French colonial rule, it only gained recognition as an official religion by the Haitian government in 2003. Our next report brings you the details.
Cité Soleil is a densely populated slum by the port of the Haitian capital, Port-au-Prince. Notorious for being among the most violent areas in the country, it is also counted among its most poorest. More than 180 predominantly elderly residents of the capital's western coastal neighborhood were massacred over the weekend, following the order of Wharf Jeremy gang leader Monel Mikeno Felix. Reportedly, Felix ordered the violence after his son fell ill and he sought advice from a voodoo priest, who blamed the elderly people in the area of harming the child through witchcraft. Felix's son had died on Saturday afternoon. Reportedly, mutilated bodies were set ablaze in the streets, including several young individuals who were killed attempting to save the elderly residents. On Monday, the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned gang violence and loss of life in Haiti, his spokesperson reported.
The Secretary General strongly condemns the continued gang violence and the loss of life in Haiti, where an armed gang is reported to have killed at least 184 people, including 127 elderly men and women, between the 6th and the 8th of December in the Wharf Jérémy neighborhood in Cité Soleil in the capital Port-au-Prince. The Secretary General expresses his deepest sympathy and condolences to the families of the victims of this horrific act. The Secretary General calls on the Haitian authorities to conduct a thorough investigation and ensure that perpetrators to these and all other human rights abuses and violations are brought to justice. The Secretary General reiterates once again his pressing call to member states to provide the multinational security support mission the financial and the logistical support required to successfully assist the Haitian National Police in addressing gang violence. He also calls on all Haitian stakeholders to accelerate progress in the political transition.
Dubbing the bloody episode an act of barbarity, of unbearable cruelty, the Office of Prime Minister Alex Tidiophils-Abe said that the monstrous crime constitutes a direct attack on humanity. The mood on the streets of the capital was a mix of defiance, frustration, and anger. Residents of the capital, increasingly exasperated with the gang violence, did not want forgiveness for the gangs.
Today we heard that Mikano from Wharf Jeremy gang killed more than 100 people because his kid is sick and he said that it's because of witches. Today, even a man like the Prime Minister can't stop them. The gang killed more than 100 people. It's criminal. Your son is sick, you are a gang leader, you blame the illness on witches and you kill more than 100 people. It's hell, nothing more. The police should have immediately secured the area to arrest that criminal. And now the gang asks for forgiveness. What forgiveness for gangs in society? We don't accept that. We are kind. I don't have a gun. I educate my kids. I have one who graduated.
Despite a United Nations-backed Kenyan-led international force that has been deployed to help the outgunned Haitian police, violence has continued to soar. More than 700,000 people are internally displaced in Haiti, half of whom are children. In addition to this, 5,000 more have been forced from their homes by the weekend massacre. Not that a reminder was needed, but the latest massacre proves yet again that an impoverished nation of more than 11 million people has been taken hostage by an estimated 7 major gang coalitions and is struggling to break free.
And that's all that we could pack in this edition of World at War. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Bye-bye.